First topic is going to be the Lakers.
Mm.
Um, it's tough. It's tough watching the Lakers. I have a friend who's a big Lakers fan. He was pretty confident about them going into the season. We made a bet. I'm gonna make a separate video about that later. But man, I mean, they are just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. AD's hurt again. It's been like the 30th time. Westbrook's playing terrible. LeBron's got to do it himself. They have no bench. And I think when you look back, people are going to start to think about their management. Like, I followed the Lakers for a while. I'm not a fan. I used to like Kobe when I was younger, but man, Genie Bus, I'm telling you, just the decisions that they have made have just been terrible. I mean, we can go through the details and, with their trades, but they let go all of their major role players. I mean, anyone who is a decent defender is gone. Schroeder's gone, Kuzma's gone, KCP's gone, Caruso's gone. Now they have no defense. They're just a bunch of old guys out there, and it's costing them. AD's hurt again, and he's only in his late 20s. So if he's getting hurt as much now, just wait 4 years. It's going to be every week he's going to be dealing with something. LeBron's 38. And this is something I've told my friends who are Lakers fans. I'm like, your team is built around a guy who's 38, and his contract's going to be up in 2 years. And everyone else that's on the contract, besides AD, besides THT, but just because he's a rookie or he's on a rookie contract, everyone else is like a 1 year, 2 year deal. And they're only there because LeBron's there. Once LeBron leaves, it's going to be like Cleveland. It's going to be like how Miami was a little bit when he left. They're all going to leave, and then they're going to have to rebuild. But the problem is that when they rebuild, they have no picks because they traded all their picks away in, the Anthony Davis trade, the Mo Wagner trade, all these trades. They have no picks. So I was going through it about their first round picks. They own this year's first round pick. Next year, the Pelicans have the right to swap picks. 2024, it's owned by the Pelicans. 2025, it's owned by the Pelicans. These are all first round picks. They don't have a first round pick until 2026.
No, you know what? The Lakers, without a doubt, we know mortgaged their future when they went out and they traded for Anthony Davis. We know Anthony Davis kind of forced his way to Los Angeles. Like, he wanted to get out of New Orleans. I think, we know he specifically wanted to go to the Lakers and join LeBron. LeBron's first year with the Lakers was pretty bad. They missed the playoffs, I believe, and then they were like, all right, we need to. That was kind of like when they were still like with Brandon Ingram, and I believe Julius Randle might have still been on the team at the time. He might have been in New Orleans by then, actually, but they were still phasing out of those really dark years for the Lakers. So they mortgaged the future to get a championship, and they got it. I mean, granted, it came in the bubble bowl, but technically it's their 17th championship, I guess. So they got done what they needed to get done. I'll give them that, but it's a very bleak outlook for them right now. And the biggest thing is Anthony Davis, who, like you mentioned, is young, in his mid to late 20s, and barely plays. He's played 37 games out of the Lakers' 69 games this year. Charles Barkley put it perfectly, nicknaming him street clothes. This guy gets a hangnail and he's out for a month. And for me personally, just growing up, that was always the thing I disliked the most about any particular athlete. Any athlete that is constantly hurt, I'm sorry, it just drives me nuts. And like, yes, granted, he's one of the most talented players in the league, one of the best players in the league when he's healthy, but he's not playing. He's barely ever healthy. And the Lakers did not build a team around a 37-year-old player properly the way they did 2 years ago when they won that championship. You mentioned it. Those role players, KCP, are gone. One guy you left off of that list also, Rajon Rondo. Say what you want about Rondo at this point. He was a great fit on that team because he played defense. He even started to shoot some three-pointers and knock those down. Danny Green, same thing. I know he was awful and he still is now. And I know wasn't a big part of that championship run, but those kinds of players are what this Lakers team is missing right now. You tried to shoehorn Russell Westbrook into the system. Obviously, it's been a colossal failure so far. And the way things are looking, I don't know where the Lakers go from here. I mean, you're stuck with Westbrook's contract. LeBron's getting older. Granted, he's playing amazing out of his mind still, but then you have the situation with Anthony Davis that you just never know when he's actually going to be healthy and be able to play. And yeah, there should be a lot of concerns in Tinseltown right now.
Yeah, and that's one question I wanted to ask you is that, someone's gonna have to take the blame for this. It's most likely gonna be Rob Pelinka. Now, does Rob Pelinka get fired? Like, is he done?
Well, no, you know what? It's actually funny because I meant to say that, but I was talking for so long that I forgot. I don't know how much of this is Rob Pelinka's baby. I feel like them bringing in Russell Westbrook was devised by LeBron and Anthony Davis, if you want me to be totally honest. I mean, maybe Jeannie Buss had a hand in that. I'm not so sure. Rob Pelinka went hard to work to, number one, get LeBron, and then number two, surround him with role players, the guys we just mentioned that helped them win that championship 2 years ago. I'm not so sure it's on Pelinka. I really truly think LeBron, AD, Jeannie Buss, one of those three, or even all three of them, came together and wanted to go out and get Russell Westbrook and get Carmelo Anthony and ignore the more important roles that the team needed to fill. I truly, really believe it was one of those three, or if not all three of Buss, LeBron, and Anthony Davis that have kind of created this mess. So honestly, I would not fire Pelinka. He's shown to me that he's clearly an excellent executive. Obviously, had the agent background prior to that. I mean, who knows? There needs to be a change though, and maybe he is the martyr, and the one that ends up being the sacrifice, though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a interesting situation because I do agree. I think LeBron has a lot to do with the people that come. I think that's no secret. Any team he's been on, it seems like he has his demands, and people who come are in his circle. It's I don't think you can argue that. But um, can you just come out and say, "Oh, well, LeBron put this team together. He's the one who wanted to get Carmelo. He wanted Westbrook. He wanted this. He wanted that." I think it's going to be something that the organization and Jeannie Buss have to kind of tiptoe around, and someone that they can put the blame on. And you would think realistically, a GM is supposed to put the team together. It's his job. I think Rob Pelinka is going to take some sort of the blame. I don't know if he's going to get fired. I think Frank Vogel is probably going to get fired. They were talking about him 2 months ago. Like every game was, a life death situation, and now they're losing every game, and he's just still there. So I think he's probably going to be gone. Sorry, I lost my voice there. But I think Palinka's going to get a lot of the heat. I think LeBron's probably going to come out. And he's going to start complaining again, just like he usually does, and he was earlier in the season. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. A lot of those guys are going to be free agents. I'm guessing really the only people they're going to want to bring back is Malik Monk, who's played well. Austin Reeves, who's luckily he's a rookie. But other than that, I don't really know anybody else off the top of my head that's made that much of an impact to say, hey, we're going to keep you next year. Westbrook's, he's probably in big trouble as far as staying next year. Davis, I just don't know anybody that wants Anthony Davis. I mean, because he's one of those players where it's a trap. He's going to require a lot to trade for him, but you're knowing that you're trading for someone that in 2 games could get hurt for the rest of the year. It's just the way it is. So this Lakers future is very dark. I feel so bad for Lakers fans. I feel bad for my friend because he was so confident and now he's just embarrassed about his team. But you know what? It sucks.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say, speaking to Jeannie Buss, because you brought him up, and just the Buss family as a whole. First of all, I need to check out that HBO show, Showtime. I really need to get on that, and I want to, who knows how truthful every detail in that show is, but there's one thing you can say about the Lakers 70s, 80s, even the 90s was Dr. Buss was one of those owners that did not take no for an answer, that knew how to be a leader and to get what he wanted. And unfortunately, ever since he passed away, the Lakers as an organization have not been the same. And I can tell you with firsthand knowledge of from another person who is very close to the Lakers organization that Jeannie Buss and her brother do not have a great relationship, that there was a big internal strife between the two. And personally, you take a look at her record now here over the last 6, 7 years, 8 years even. The Lakers have been, they went from 2012 through 2018 or about 18 before they got LeBron, some of the darkest years in Lakers history. And I mean, not even by Laker standards. I mean, just absolutely abhorrent seasons from the Lakers during those years. You remember those years, right? And I have to blame a lot of that on Jeannie Buss. And I think she tries to be like her father. She wants to be like Dr. Buss and be very hands-on and get involved in transactions and, buddy with the players. But clearly she is not her father. And I think she is standing in the way more than she is helping their cause. And that is why I personally feel Pelinka shouldn't be fired. She maybe needs to take more of a backseat role. Let the executives do their thing because they know what they're doing. They're basketball lifers. I know Jeannie Buss has obviously been involved in the organization her entire life. That doesn't mean she knows basketball, though.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those situations where you look back and it's just family owned businesses, sports teams. Once that guy that helped create the team and build them to what they are, once that guy leaves and then the kids come and take power, it's like who says that the kids are going to do just as good of a job or that they're just as qualified as the guy before or any GM owner of any other team? Like, these people, and I'm not going to try and take credit away from Jeannie or Jim, but they did get handed an organization. And so far, if you look at their track record, you look at the players that they've signed to their contracts. I mean, the Timothy Mozgov contract, like, are you kidding me? The Luol Deng contract is like, man, like it's hard for someone to defend these people because of the moves that they're making. And I think if she truly was looking for the success of the Lakers and is trying to help this team, I think she does need to take a step back, maybe step down. I'm not sure, but there's just been a lot of bad moves made from management. And it's unfortunate because, players are going to get the bad end of the stick, short end of the stick, whatever, however you say it, what I'm trying to say. But certain people in management, Rob Pelinka, I'm sure is going to take some of the blame. And it's just a tough situation. It's kind of like the Cowboys. They're not going to, in my opinion, they're not going to do well until Jerry Jones, kind of takes a step back. And I think that's the same thing with the Lakers. But it's just tough. It's just a tough situation. I feel bad for all the Lakers fans out there.
Yeah, no, and crossing over to like Major League Baseball, taking a look at the New York Yankees, they are not the same organization that they were when George Steinbrenner was the original owner. And now that his son has taken over, they are not the same team. They do not spend money the same way. They do not instill fear in other teams the way they used to. And that's pretty similar here with the Lakers. Now, here's the one thing. It's funny. We're talking like the Lakers have been terrible for, the last 20 years. They just won a championship 2 years ago. But forward looking, the direction is very uncertain right now. And these are definitely causes for concern given the lack of flexibility on their roster, almost no first round draft picks in the next couple of years. And obviously the turmoil within the Buss family and the hierarchy of the executives with Rob Pelinka, it's a very uncertain future for them in the next 2 to 3 years, especially now with LeBron getting older and his contract coming up in a year or two. Who knows what this team's going to look like a year, 2 years from now.
Yeah, it's tough. This was a topic we were going to talk about for a while, and we could talk about this the whole day, really. But it's something I just want to touch on because, man, I just feel bad every time I watch the Lakers. And I mean, you cannot watch the Lakers because they're on ESPN and TNT every single week. So they're basically broadcasting their disappointing season to the whole nation. So it's just sad. Thank you for watching this episode of the East Coast West Coast podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our social medias down below.